Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Got Nate and Noah here as always. I know Nate wants to do something a little bit different to start off this podcast. He's going to do some movie news and stuff. So I'll just throw it over to Nate so he can do that stuff.
Yeah, guys, just some things that I've seen online within the past couple days. So for you Keanu Reeves fan, Constantine 2, they had just finished the script for that movie, so expect that to start filming sometime soon. As you guys probably all saw, Ewan McGregor got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Well deserved to him, fantastic actor. John Wick spin-off movie Ballerina, there's going to be a trailer dropping for that soon, per Ana de Armas. There's going to be a trailer for the new Dune project, Dune Prophecy, releasing on October 17th. Ice Age 6 has just gone into production for all you animated film fans. Spider-Man 4, the MCU version, will begin filming early 2025. And this is the one I was least excited about. So how familiar are you guys with Masters of the Universe, like He-Man and all that?
Not at
Uh,
all.
Are you aware of
relatively,
it, though?
yes.
Like, you're aware of it?
All right, I know it exists, but I know absolutely nothing about it.
Right. So the main villain for that universe, his name is Skeletor, and
The goat.
Jared Leto was just
Oh,
basically announced as being Skeletor.
No,
oh
you're
boy.
you're not being serious.
Dude,
Dead serious. Like, it hasn't
I-
been officially announced, but his name has been the most tied to the project.
dude, Jared Leto. How does he keep getting roles, bro?
How does he keep
That's-
getting away with this?
He
You
can't
can't
keep getting away with
this.
it.
If I
I
had
mean,
a nickel for
Jared
every
Leto.
time, if I had a nickel for every time Jared Leto ruined a childhood comic book character, I'd have.
Yeah, not too excited about. Like, I watched there's an '80s movie that has Courtney Cox in it, based off the He-Man universe. That isn't that good, but at least didn't have Jared Leto in it.
I keep forgetting that Jared Leto was in American Psycho, though, and was actually kind of decent in that. But then after,
He's
sorry,
all right. He's all right. He's all right.
He's in it for like
He's
10
alright.
minutes. Guys.
Well,
Oh,
see, at least he didn't overstay his welcome.
Yeah.
sorry. I did misspeak a little bit. He's been offered the role.
For the role.
Well,
Yeah.
Well,
so
given it,
whether or
given an
not he'll
offer,
get it is unconfirmed, but he has been offered the role of Skeletor.
that just shows that's not going in the direction.
And then Ryan, you said had something else you wanted to talk about, a few things before we started.
yes, I have one thing. I'm hoping it's right. I didn't really do research on it. I just kind of saw it on when I was watching this because I watched it on TBS. The Penguin show is coming out, which has Colin Farrell in it, based off of the Batman movie, and that is going to be airing this Thursday on HBO Max. Yep, September 19th.
Yep, this Thursday.
Yep. And it has Colin Farrell in it, obviously, and it says Mark Strong's going to be in it, which I am excited for. I hope, since it doesn't look like they're going to have Giancarlo Esposito play Doctor Strange.
Hugo Strange.
I guess Doctor Strange is technically also right, but that's not.
That's fair.
Since Hugo Strange is probably not going to be played by Giancarlo Esposito, I hope Mark Strong either plays him or Mr. Freeze.
I've seen Dave Bautista be linked to Hugo Strange, actually.
I don't think so. He's too big. I know.
Well, so I saw I don't remember if it was Jimmy Kimmel or one of those late night talk show hosts, one of those talk show shows, and I saw like him, and then I saw like people fan casting him as Hugo Strange. Like, I definitely see it now.
Yeah, I see it. I wouldn't be mad at it, but I mean, like, I wouldn't go for Dave Bautista when you have Giancarlo Esposito sitting right there, who could be phenomenal in that role.
I don't disagree. Also, tying into that, I did see that the Penguin will tie directly into the Batman.
Like the first one or the sequel?
The sequel to the Batman. Like, it'll tie directly into the sequel.
That movie's not coming out for a while. I'm excited for it though. It's not coming out until next October.
Yeah, isn't that taking forever to make or whatever?
Yeah, I think they're just starting filming soon.
Which I'm fine with, because it's probably going to be like another 3-hour movie. So I'm fine with it taking a little bit.
Yeah, as long as it's good.
As long
good
as it's
3-hour
not 3
movie.
hours of trash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, and of course, we cannot go on any longer with this episode without mentioning the fact that the late, great James Earl Jones has passed away this week. And he was Darth Vader. He was also Mufasa in The Lion King. Pretty much the voice for most of our childhood, I would say. I don't know if you guys would agree with me, but I think
Mhm.
most things that have like an iconic voice work in it is probably linked to James Earl Jones in some way.
He is also immortalized in Sheldon Cooper lore because he is in that one episode of Big Bang Theory.
That is true. He was in that one episode of The Big Bang Theory.
That was the
but-
most important thing he did.
Oh, Field of Dreams. He was also in too. I forgot about that.
No, he was in
Who
the
else was in
Sandlot.
Field of Dream?
He was in The Sandlot.
Yeah, he was the blind dude.
Yeah. Who else was in Field of Dreams? It was
Ray Liotta.
Kevin Costner, Ray Liotta.
Because I was thinking of another movie we'd done on the podcast, and Ray Liotta's in that movie.
Yep.
Yeah, just last week.
Rest in peace to James Earl Jones. You will be forever missed in the eyes of the film community.
Mm-hmm.
He's also in Scary Movie 4.
I mean, he lived in '93 though. He lived a long life.
Oh yeah.
he had a good life. He had a good life.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Hold up. There's sequels to The Sandlot?
Yes, they're terrible.
Yeah. The Sandlot 2 is. I've only watched the second one somehow. For some reason, I watched the second one just to see how bad it is, and it's really terrible.
I guess
No,
it's
I
not,
do
like
remember-
it's bad, but it's not like terribly bad.
I mean, it's pretty freaking bad.
Now that I bring it up, I remember the third one because I remember one of the characters at the very end. I forget which one it is. He starts playing for the fucking Dodgers or something, and the game ends with him as an adult playing for the Dodgers.
Wait, isn't that literally just the ending of the first one, low key?
Yes,
with,
that is. That is the ending of the first one.
So they do it again.
The entire second Sandlot movie is just the entire first
Oh, yeah.
Sandlot movie, but with
Yeah,
girls in it.
The second Sandlot movie is just a feminist Sandlot 1 or whatever.
Yeah, it's just Sandlot, but with women in it, or not even women, girls.
What if we did the Sandlot 1, but added more girls in it? and all the characters that are just copied from the first one, the boy characters are absolutely terrible and are complete ripoffs and great value versions of the predecessors. Sounds like a great idea, doesn't it?
It does. Last thing I'll say before we get into the actual movie for this week, you know it's a bad thing when normally 9 times out of 10, Top Gun being the exception, when a movie comes out 12 years after the first one, you know.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, the Godfather Part 3 came out like 15 years after number 2. Although actually, I haven't seen the Part 3 yet, so I shouldn't say anything yet. But
The Godfather 3 is so removed from the Godfather 1 that the baby at the end of the Godfather 1 is that's being christened is played by Sophia Ford Coppola, Francis Ford Coppola's daughter.
I've heard that was like a horrible performance that people hate and stuff.
Well, yeah, the Godfather 3 takes place so long after that she's in it, like she's an actual character in it.
But yeah, because they took 15 years to make it, and then Al Pacino is old now, so they got to have it take place long after.
Old now.
Yeah, I mean, he is. I was looking on like just like a couple clips from it, and I was like, "Dang, that's probably should have made this a little sooner."
He's only 84 now. Jesus.
Have you seen
he does not. He does not look 84. He looks 184.
But he aged quickly.
He just had a kid like a year and a half ago.
That's crazy.
Cap. No,
he did. Yeah.
How?
Children 4.
Dude, at like 83, 82, he did that? No.
He has
let
a
me see if I
son, Roman, born June 15th, 2023,
Stop.
with his
my
girlfriend who
God.
is 54 years younger than he is.
Oh. Okay. We should move on to the movie right now. Let's. Oh. Okay. Let's move on. Let's move on to a great movie right here with great themes about hope. Uh. So.
And not Al Pacino's 30-year-old girlfriend.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, this is gonna be an interesting. Wait, is that all we wanted to talk about?
yeah.
But yeah, that's everything I had. I don't know if you guys saw anything else like within
Okay.
the realm of like news, bro.
No, I don't think.
I know Scooby Doo turned 55 years old a few days ago, but other than that, I don't think I have anything.
Punk.
Yoink, Scoob.
Yoinks, yoink, Scoob. Why is Al Pacino's girlfriend so young?
All right. All right.
All right.
We're moving on.
How do we transition past this?
All right. So we're watching the Shawshank. We watched the Shawshank Redemption for today's episode. That is what you came here for with the title. And I'm leading this episode. This was my choice. And this is one of my favorite movies ever now. I was going in this watch wanting to decide if it was my favorite or not because Whiplash was the one I was debating between. I've still got it as Whiplash. I'm not gonna lie, but very close for me. But this movie is an absolute masterpiece. So it was released in 1994, same year as another one of my favorites of all time, Pulp Fiction, was released, and wasn't The Lion King released this year too? This is a pretty stacked year for films. So
yeah, I think The Lion King sounds right. It was definitely in
yeah,
that time frame. I'll Google it while you continue to talk about it.
it was around that.
The Crow
And,
also came out. Good movie.
So it's directed by Frank Darabont. Is that how you say his name?
Forrest Gump came out in '94 too.
Oh yeah, that's right. So just some of the cast. So Tim Robbins is Andy Dufresne. Obviously Morgan Freeman is Red. Those are like the two real main characters. A couple other side characters I'm going to mention once I get into like the acting and characters and all that. So kind of just the whole synopsis of it. Even though if you're watching this, you've already watched it, but just a reminder, I guess, if it's been a while since you've seen it. So Andy's accused of murdering his wife who was cheating on him. It's tough for him, but he had like the most unfortunate circumstances ever, where he was like the film kind of opened up with him being drunk in his car, and he was contemplating doing the murder, but decided not to do it. But he's innocent. But then just a few hours later, they're murdered, and obviously they tie it back to Andy, where footprints are at the scene, or handprints, I should say, on like some of the bullets from the gun or whatever. So he's sentenced to life in prison, and he's really the only innocent man here at Shawshank prison, which is filled with a lot of violence and a lot of people who've done horrible crimes, all convicts. And over the course of this film, it's him 19 years in prison, where he's adjusting to life here, and he's really the one that can kind of restore hope in the prisoners and humanize them, and builds a really strong friendship with Red, one of the prisoners who has been there for a long time. So it's kind of just a little overview of it. Just one of my favorite, my second favorite film of all time, I would say. And really the main thing is because of all the different themes and kind of some of the symbolism, which I'll get into later, and some fantastic performances and incredible characters too. And so I think
it's a good movie. Good movie.
Yeah. So
good movie.
We're actually gonna. I like being a bit more organized. Nate was kind of just winging it last episode, which so cool.
Yeah,
but
we could tell.
Yeah,
but we kind of tell. None of us took notes though, so I'm not gonna.
I had a busy Saturday last week. It was just kind of a sloppily put together episode on my part, so I apologize for that.
Yeah, it's all right. So I got some of the the main things. The main things I want to talk about here are the acting and the characters. Kind of going to put that all in one. And then just gonna go over the plot. I don't think I'm gonna go scene by scene, but I'll go pretty in depth, and we can talk about just some of our favorite scenes and just kind of go over the whole thing, and then talk about the symbolism, and then I'll go into final thoughts. And I would add more categories, but in my notes I kind of yapped on a lot of them, especially the characters. So I feel like that'll be enough to hold up the entire episode. So going to go into the acting and characters. So I already kind of mentioned with the casting, Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman are the two leads of this, and then Bob Gunton as Warden Norton, and then I wanted to mention James Whitmore as Brooks Hatlin, very important character. And I think I wrote down some of the others on my notes, but we could probably reference it on Letterboxd if you want to mention.
You can't forget about good old Mr. Krabs as Captain Hadley.
That's right. Yep.
Clancy Brown, good actor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, great actor.
Great acting for a character that's not very nice.
Not a very good fella.
Wait, did you know that he also fucking voices Savage Opress in the Clone Wars?
Yes,
what?
I did.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
He's also in the Detroit Become Human game. Which is a
I
good
knew
game
that one.
if you guys ever want to play that. He was in. He was also in the he was in the Boys spinoff Gen V. He was in it for he was only in it for like an episode, but he was in John Wick Chapter 4.
Wait, hold on. Who was he in that movie?
He's apparently going to be in the Penguin, so
good on him. He's getting all these roles now.
Clancy Brown, he was Harbinger.
I don't even know who that was in the movie. Probably wasn't in there that much. Anyway, it's been a bit since I've watched that, though. I only watched it like once in the theater, I think. I don't think I watched it after that. I probably should watch it again, though. It was really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good actor. Great range. Mm-hmm. Underrated actor, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can go from playing Captain Hadley to Mr. Krabs. Like, it's not even a joke. That's his two projects. He went from, or I guess he had Starship Troopers in between there too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he went from Shawshank to Starship Troopers to playing Mr. Krabs.
Well, that's actually a pretty good bridge. If anything, because Starship Troopers is a parody, and
yeah, it's a very goofy movie.
Yeah, going from like serious movie to like semi-serious like plot with a comedy movie to straight comedy. That's not a horrible jump.
No, not at all.
Okay, so with performances, I really think like Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman are really like the film is all focused on them, and I think they play the characters very well. Especially, I really like Morgan Freeman as Red. I think his character is really interesting. It kind of presents some of the themes of like being institutionalized in this prison with being there so long, and it kind of gets into like some of the main themes of the movie with that, and being behind bars so long to where it essentially becomes your home now, and he kind of has that fear that he's gonna become that. And I think there's plenty of great line deliveries from him. And Tim Robbins as Andy Dufresne does a great job at being the guy who's pretty much the only innocent guy in Shawshank. I mean, there's a kind of a running joke where it's like, oh yeah, everybody's innocent in Shawshank, but Andy's really the only one that's like actually innocent. Yeah, that's kind of what they always say. And Andy kind of goes along with the joke too, but he's the only one that's actually telling the truth. But I find it interesting that Red's character is the only one that says that admits that he's guilty there. So I think that's an interesting dynamic where it's like Andy's the only innocent man in Shawshank, and Red is the only guilty man in Shawshank. You can kind of say, and they kind of build up that friendship there.
Yeah, I really did like the dynamic between the two. It kind of showed the two sides of a very similar coin.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of like how Andy is really trying to instill hope in this prison, and Red is really against that and is always. I think there's some scene kind of towards the end where he's. I think it's after Andy plays the one opera song over the speakers, and
Mhm.
Red says that hope is a dangerous thing. He's kind of just trying to shut away all that hope and is pessimistic. I mean, that's really how all the prisoners are, where they're pessimistic and don't really have much hope for the future, really, because it just feels like they're going to be there forever. But Andy has that hope.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's the theme of hope is like I know you mentioned it. Like the whole movie's kind of the central theme is just hope. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that hope, like if hope didn't exist, like who knows, like what Andy would have been, you know?
Yeah. Well, there is a moment where towards the end, I think it's after it might be after Andy was like finally got out of solitary confinement after like a month or whatever the warden sentenced him to, where it seems like he's given up his hope, and it's kind of said that he bought a rope, and all of his friends are fearing that he's gonna take his own life, but Andy never gives up on the hope, and he escapes from the Shawshank to get a new life and to essentially be reborn, and it takes on a new identity and stuff. So I think that was powerful. Where it seemed like he had lost all hope and seemed like he was down on himself, where he was never going to get out, but eventually did find his way out there.
Yeah, and then of course you get that iconic picture of Andy kneeling in the rain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the most iconic shots, and that's also in the poster for the film.
I genuinely think that might be the greatest shot of a movie that I've seen, at least in recent memory.
I mean,
In recent memory, like
it's yeah, got to be up there. It would be up there for me.
Mhm.
like I'm sure if I really thought about it, I could probably find something, but it would be hard.
Yeah, and I mean, just in terms of like an iconic shot too, like that's I know there's not too many shots that are more iconic than that.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so, what else do I want to talk? Oh, I gotta talk about the warden as the villain here. I think it's a very interesting character where he kind of has that mask of being this devout Christian with how he's always talking about like in his introduction we get to him where the new prisoners walk in and he kind of talks about the only things I believe in are the Bible and discipline, and it appears that he would be like a really hardcore Christian that follows the Bible, but he really just uses it as kind of it's a facade. He doesn't actually have the values of Christianity and does all sorts of evil and kind of has that mask of, oh, I'm a Christian, but nah, let me go do all this stuff and all this evil. And I think that's pretty interesting as a religious hypocrite character. And I think a pretty interesting scene I think is when the warden finds Andy reading his Bible that he gave him, because I think the warden gives all the prisoners a Bible, and let's see, I don't know what verse. Hold on, I think it's somewhere in my notes. I think I put it in the plot section of my notes, but there's a verse that he mentions. I think the Andy says it was like Mark 13:35 or whatever. But there was an interesting moment where the warden says his verse, but he doesn't actually say like what book it's from and then a chapter and verse. And Andy is the one that actually like calls out. I think it was like John 8:12. I want to say it might have been, but don't quote me on that. And then the warden is kind of just like, "Oh, you're just good with numbers," but it shows that Andy is actually opening his Bible, because I don't think there's a single time where the warden actually opens the Bible in the entire film, but Andy does,
There
and you
is
see him reading the Bible. Is there?
There's one part where he opens a Bible, and it is
Oh
when
yeah,
he
the
opens
hollowed
the
out.
Bible. Yeah, the hollowed out Bible that Andy
Yeah,
left
yeah.
behind for him. But
Yeah.
that is the only time.
Yeah, so never actually reads the Bible. We don't ever actually see him
Yeah.
reading the Bible. Instead, he has these verses memorized, but it kind of shows that just because you can have some of these verses memorized, it's to make you an actual follower of this. And Andy actually has more of the actions that would align more with scripture, like that, with having that type of hope and positivity, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think the warden kind of starts off with that like actual Christian mindset, because you don't really see him go away from that until after they do like the prison work program that they're doing. I forget what they were calling it in the film.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just having like kind of taken away work from others
Yeah,
who used to
from
do
the
similar stuff
contractors.
and all that. Yeah.
It was like right when he saw like the money he could bring in, he was like, "Oh, let me do this instead of what I was doing before." Because at the beginning, I kind of felt like, yeah, I could see where he's like using like his religion as a justification for being a warden, trying to rehabilitate people.
Mhm.
Well, I
But
feel
like
like
as the film progressed, he definitely slipped far and far away from that.
I mean, I don't know. I do feel like he was crooked always from the start, though. I mean, I kind of just got the vibe that it was like that, and I feel like it's kind of the concept where it's like it. So in Christianity, so as a Christian myself, it's like there's always this thing where um, there's this saying where it's like relationship over religion, and when they say that, it's like religion is always when it's just like where you're imposing it like it's a law, where it's always focused on not doing this and always having these rules and regulations, and that's what the warden kind of the vibe he was giving off to me at the beginning. Whereas a relationship would be like actively seeking God and opening your Bible, reading it, and praying and building up that, instead of just being like, all right, here's a bunch of rules and regulations. That's what a lot of people think religion is, where that's not really what Christianity is.
Right, I agree with you.
Yeah, it's really similar to like you could see him being like a Pharisee in the Bible, where he just cares
Yeah,
about
yeah.
the rules
hmm
and the law and doesn't really give a shit about the people he's trying to quote unquote help.
It's like the self righteousness of the Pharisees that Jesus calls out
Yeah.
many times during the Gospels.
Yeah.
And it's like the whole image of like he's the most holy person, holier than thou, type thing. But in reality, all under that, his heart is not in the right place. Um, and especially like later on when he gets into kind of this shady business or whatever, um, that's when we really see the facade coming off and him really just diving into evil. And I mean, yeah, I find it just a really interesting character as a Christian. And I mean, you could make like some people would think that this would be like an anti-Christian film then with a character like this, but personally, I don't believe that, because we see like Andy has memorized scripture and is reading his Bible and has like showcases more of the things that a Christian should be rather than the warden. So I don't think this would be like an anti-Christian film or anything like that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think maybe Stephen King intended it to be anti-Christian, because if you follow Stephen King at
Yeah.
all, he's very anti-religion.
Yeah.
But I will give props to the director, because I think he kind of flipped that narrative and showed how, while you could have the warden, who's kind of like that symbol of anti-religion, you also have Andy, who's like the symbol of hope for the religion.
Yeah. It's and I don't think I think I think I was researching it, and the director is not religious or anything, but I think he was probably just trying to make it like a fit, like make more of a fair representation, not be biased or anything. Or maybe he likes some of the like ideas of Christianity, but just doesn't like completely subscribe to it, or has the issue of like actual belief in a god or anything like that.
Right.
So that might be what it is, but it is just speculation at the end of the day.
Mhm.
And then what else do I want to talk about here? I should probably talk about Brooks with his whole powerful scene in the middle. Oh, actually,
Mhm.
hold on, I put down on my notes a verse from the Bible, which kind of is interesting with the character of the warden, where it's from James 1:22, where it says, "Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says." And it's like the warden definitely is not doing what it says there, and is deceiving himself by just reading it and putting up like some of these Bible verses in like the frames. I don't know which thing he put up in the one frame he had.
Oh, yeah, the thing his wife made.
Yeah, that's what I was referencing there, and like memorizing this stuff, but never actually putting it into action. So being a hypocrite, like a Pharisee, pretty much. But yeah, now I want to talk about Brooks. This is the last character I wanted to get into, and then I can let you guys talk about whatever else you want to with the characters here. So Brooks is a character that doesn't have a lot of screen time, but he's very vital to the story and the themes of it. So he spent, I think it says 50 years in prison or something like that. And it's like he committed a crime very early in his life, but now is an old man going, and eventually he gets released and goes back out in the real world. And I think that's interesting to think about, where a prisoner that's been there, like goes into prison, like let's say 20 and goes back out at like 70, like the world is completely different. He almost gets ran into by a couple cars and stuff in the street, and it's just overwhelming for him. And also, it's like he lost pretty much. He doesn't have any of his friends anymore. He's made a bunch of friends in prison, knew a lot of people, and was an important person in the prison. And now he's a nobody, bagging groceries, and he doesn't know anybody now. And so that was a really heartbreaking scene with Brooks, and eventually it ends in him taking his own life there at the end. And actually, I probably should have mentioned before, where he has this, there's a common thing among the prisoners where when they're in prison for so long that they start to kind of have a fear of the outside world and kind of just want to stay in the comfort of prison because that's all they know and that's their home. So Brooks fears the outside world, fears that change, and does something so drastic as to attempt to kill. I forget the character's
Haywood.
name.
It was Haywood.
That's what it was. Haywood, and almost kills him. And Andy and Red have to talk him out of that. And I think that was just something really interesting to think about, and things that happen in real life where a prisoner spends so much time there and then just kind of gets thrown out into the real world and has pretty much nothing and has to build their life from the ground up.
Yeah, I know you guys are going to clown on me for saying this, but it brings me back to what we talked about in Fury, about how none of them wanted to leave the tank at the end of the film because it was their home, it was all they knew. Like, it reminded me a lot of that.
Yeah, I could definitely see the connection there.
And it's really cool seeing how a good movie like Shawshank Redemption can parallel a bad movie like Fury and still do it well.
All right.
We keep doing this, but
No,
Ryne gave it like a 4 stars, bro.
Yeah. I gave Fury
no,
4, yeah.
No, that verse that was in his office was his judgment cometh soon. It's not directly in the Bible, but
so it's just like a saying, kind of.
But like in the Bible, in Ecclesiasticus 21:5, it says his judgment cometh speedily, which is like, it's not the same, but it's
might just be a different translation, I guess.
Yeah, it's it's not directly Bible affiliated, but it's close enough.
I find it I find that kind of interesting, or ironic, I should say, because saying his judgment is coming soon, that's really what it was like at the Warden, especially that they show that in a shot right when he's about to be arrested, but eventually takes his own life, and it's just like that's his judgment coming soon for what he has done. And he can't, and it's kind of like how in the Christian faith you really can't hide from God's judgment. So you can put on this whole facade, but at the end of the day, if your heart is not in the right place and you don't truly have your faith in Jesus, then judgment is going to come. So I find that another interesting thing tying into Christianity.
Yeah, I think I did like that shot where he kind of like it zoomed in on that, like it was the vault. It was where he hit his vault.
Yeah,
and then it showed him like he was deciding whether or not to be arrested or to kill himself.
Yeah.
And he kind of showing like, even though he isn't like practicing, he'd rather be judged by God than judged by man. So I thought that was very interesting like just as from a
which
thematic
is
standpoint.
which is a little interesting because it's just like rather being judged by God than man is kind of a crazy thing in the context of Christianity. Like, obviously, I don't
Yes.
want to like force it on, but like if you're in the Christian faith and all that, you definitely don't want to be with judged by God there. But I guess he wanted to and did that. So
I mean, maybe he just, and I'm trying to think of like in the warden's shoes, he probably thought what he did was morally right, but
yeah,
that man would not see it that way, but God would.
yeah. But it just kind of holding on to that pride, which
Yeah.
is so
Yes.
dangerous to hold on to
Yes.
that and that self righteousness.
I agree 100%.
And I think it's also interesting because he might be like kind of putting himself in the position of God as like a judge in the prison, where he can he starts having that type of pride and loves the power that he has as a judge in the prison, and maybe that starts to lead him into becoming more morally compromised as the film goes on.
Well, yeah, he also acts as jury and executioner when he shoots
Hmm.
somebody in the head halfway through the movie.
Yeah,
Like it's
That's true.
orders for him to be shot in the head.
It's the same. It's just about the same.
yeah. Rest in peace to my boy Johnny. He deserved better.
I
You
think it
mean
was
Tommy?
Tommy, but
Tommy, Johnny, whatever his name was.
Wait,
yeah,
Tommy
right.
DeVito?
Wait,
Tommy.
Tommy Wiseau?
The last 3 movies we've done had a character named Tommy.
Oh, hi, Andy.
I did not
What
shoot
else?
him. I did not.
I did not commit fraud. I did not. It's bullshit.
We could mention the character of Tommy a little bit here with kind of how he was like the last hope of Andy truly getting out of Shawshank, and then the warden kills him because of that fear that that Andy, if he's released, will be a snitch on the warden, and I mean that also really goes to show how the warden is willing to do anything to kind of save himself, and well, eventually it doesn't really work out because police get to him, but you know.
I don't even know if it was fear. I saw it more as like a grasp back for control over Andy.
Like I mean, it can go hand in hand. The fear of losing control
Yeah.
really is what I see it as.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with that.
He,
We're not my
he doesn't
first
want to
reaction
lose his
to it.
power.
Right, yes. My first reaction to it was like, oh, he knows that nobody can do what Andy does as well as Andy does it.
Yeah.
So that means he's not going to be making money.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess
Yeah,
I
he
can see
did.
where you're coming from with the fear aspect of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so yeah, with that, I find like a couple of nice scenes there with Tommy, even though he's only in like a few. I thought he was a cool character to have in there, and I find some of the scenes where like he's literally learning the alphabet. Like a grown man has to learn the alphabet or whatever. I found that funny, and somehow he passed that test, which is I think like the high school equivalent thing or what, a GED, pretty much.
Yeah,
I think is what he's doing.
that's what I think it was.
Yeah,
It was.
or he was like really bad after taking the test or whatever. It was like 5 times 5 is 25 or whatever. That's hilarious. But hey, somehow he passed. I don't know how the dude did
Yeah,
it.
I forgot how quickly Tommy's introduced to the movie and then dies.
Oh yeah, it's like 3 scenes.
Oh yeah, I was watching this movie. This is probably my one nitpick on this movie. So I was watching this movie today, obviously, because why wouldn't I watch it the same day as the
Bro
podcast?
finished it like 20 minutes ago.
No, so I was watching it and I made a pulled chicken sandwich, and I went to go grab my sandwich in the kitchen, and I came back and he was dead. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that checks out.
that's how long he's in the movie for. The amount of time it took
Yep.
me to go put some cheese on my sandwich and heat it up.
He took a little long doing that, but you know.
And
Actually, hold on. How long? Let me pull up. I think I saw it. Yeah, I have the tab open on my legal streaming site. And when does he introduce in the movie? It's gonna be like halfway through, I think. Okay, there he is. So he's introduced at like an hour and like 25 minutes or something,
Hmm.
and then he dies like 10 minutes later. So he's in it for about 10 minutes, but actually he's probably only in it for 5 of those 10 because there's other scenes in there too. But I mean, that does show that like even a small character like that can still have a pretty big impact on the story plot wise, and also just giving a pretty good performance and being a entertaining character.
Mhm.
I mean, but the biggest example of that is Brooks, because like I mean Brooks is definitely in there longer than Tommy, but
Yeah.
he's not really like a main character or anything. He dies halfway through, but just showing how a smaller
Brooks is
character
also
has a
the
massive
goat.
impact. What?
Brooks is also the goat, though. So
Yeah.
Yeah. R.I.P. Brooks.
Hmm.
not to be confused with former guest of the Uncut Version podcast,
Yeah.
Brooks. Different
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah. The guest of the what episode was that on? The
That
Deadpool
was
Deadpool one
Wolverine.
I was gone for. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, that guy he did not kill himself. All right, it was the Brooks character in the Shawshank Redemption. All right.
As
Brooks is
far as I
still
know, as
he's
far as
still
I know,
alive and well, hopefully.
I saw him on Thursday. So since Thursday, hopefully nothing has befallen him.
Mhm. Yep.
befallen him.
Before yeah, so he's all good. Don't worry. Hopefully. So I wonder anything else want to talk about with acting and characters. I don't know. I can kind of give this to you guys. What else you want to mention? Because I've talked a lot here.
Cool thing I noticed, I don't think it matters at all, but John Whitmore, the guy who plays Brooks, his son actually was the guy who started directing NCIS,
Interesting.
which I thought was cool.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. I mean, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not much that I could say more about the acting. I think you pretty much hit all the important stuff.
No,
I will say that
you guys should
I
like
will say
disagree
that
with me to make this longer.
I can't though.
I
This
will say
you're objectively right.
Okay. Oh, whoa. Okay. We shouldn't see here's the bone to pick I can have with saying something objective in film. I think the only like some of the only aspects in film I think you can really be objective about. I mean, I don't know, like some things in editing, like with like effects and stuff, like that's objective.
yeah.
And like some things in the script and stuff with like pacing and plot can kind of be objective, but really, especially with what we were talking about here with acting and like writing for characters, there are
Mhm.
multiple different interpretations you can have and stuff. So
That's fair.
I'm not gonna sit on this pedestal and be like, oh yeah, I'm objectively right here, because somebody else can have a completely different opinion. Now, I'm gonna disagree with that, but that doesn't mean they're wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's
I
hard to disagree with you when you're saying the exact same things that I agree with.
Yeah,
one
I
thing
mean,
I
we
think
all. Sorry.
I'm gonna cry. You can
Go ahead,
go.
Ryan.
No,
No,
yeah,
go
right.
ahead,
You can go
Ryan.
on. I was apologizing, and I thought you were gonna go on after that.
Okay, sorry. One of the things I think is really cool, and we talked about this last week, because Goodfellas is a movie that does narration very well.
Oh yeah, I should.
This is also
Oh, dude, how did we not make that connection already?
another movie that does narration greatly. I think Goodfellas, it's more integral to the plot, so I think Goodfellas does it maybe a little bit better. But I do think the narration in this movie is phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, especially in the Brooks scene where he is released, I thought that was great.
Mhm.
I feel like in this movie there's a lot more character to character dialogue than there was in Goodfellas. Like Goodfellas felt like a lot of narration.
Oh yeah, there's definitely more in Goodfellas.
Like
And
every other scene in Goodfellas had some form of narration, and it was the majority of the scene.
I feel like
Mhm.
it
Which
really helped.
it was done well. It was done very well in Goodfellas.
both these movies take place over like decades long, so narration really helps with like the passage of time to explain that, and I think both these movies do it very well, so that's why it's used a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, because this movie takes place over what, 20 years?
almost,
More or
yeah,
less?
Yeah.
just about 20 years. Which I don't think that's as long as Goodfellas. Goodfellas is what, like 40 years, give or
I think
take.
it's like 30, I believe.
It,
Goodfellas takes place over a long time.
If
Henry,
like, I,
Henry Hill was born in 1943. The movie starts when he's like 8, so that, let's just say 1950. He ratted
he's read
out his family in 1980. So yeah, 30 years.
30 years.
Yeah, so I think we probably got everything for characters then, unless anybody
Yeah.
wants to mention anything else.
45 minutes in, and we haven't even gotten to the plot yet.
Oh, I can kind of go. We've touched on some stuff here. I know, but character is really important. I mean, character is
Yes,
really what
for
drives
this
story.
for this film
Mhm.
particularly, I think the characters are more important than what we've talked about in the past.
Yeah, I think these are some like the best written characters I've seen in movies. Some of the most interesting. So that's really the main reason I love this movie so much. But now we're gonna get into plot. Going through this, so this episode might reach 2 hours. We'll see. You never
Try to
know,
keep it
though. You
under
never
2
know.
hours 20.
News.
If you're watching this and this episode is longer than 2.5
There's
hours, just go
there's no
watch the
way.
movie at that point.
There's no way. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I want to keep it under 2 hours. Like, I don't want it to go that far over 2 hours. But anyway, let's stop yapping and let's get into the plot. So, I'm gonna kind of structure it, kind of how we've done in the past. Like I think with Fury and stuff earlier on when we actually went through the full plot. Although I might kind of skip over some stuff, but I've got stuff written down in the notes, so
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go off that. So it starts off. I think I already kind of talked about this, where it's Andy being sentenced to prison, and we kind of see the flashback of him drunk in the car, debating if he's gonna do this crime or not, and we find out he's innocent. So then, eventually, he arrives in Shawshank, and this is when we're introduced to the warden and how his strong belief in the Bible. And I think I talked about this earlier too. And then prisoners go into their cells and all that, and the Red and some of his friends kind of take bets on who's going to crack first. And it's just one pretty chubby dude that does, and they were kind of egging him on and trying to get him to break down and cry. And Red was actually, I think Red bet like 2 packs of cigarettes or something like that on him, which is like a bunch in their thing. Everybody's always betting cigarettes on stuff in there, and Andy was just completely silent in there. Bros deep in thought, I guess. And but actually, this is where we see the first big example of the violence in this prison, where the Captain Hadley beats the chubby dude to what's his actual name? Hold on, I don't want to just refer
I
to
don't
him
think
as
they give him
the
chubby
fat dude.
No,
Do they give him a
no,
name?
they
I don't want to just call
no,
him
they
fat
don't.
the whole time. Ah,
The
geez,
scene after Andy asks what his name was, and everybody's like, "Why the fuck do you care? He's dead."
Oh man. Okay, so the fat dude. I'm trying to be nice. So the fat dude is pretty much beaten to death by Captain Hadley, and actually, I think he does die because like they didn't. The infirmary was just like, yeah, we don't care about him, and just left him to die. So just kind of showing the brutality of this prison, and the literally first night there, Andy sees this happen. So it's pretty rough. But then, Andy kind of goes through like his life in the first month of his life in prison, just kind of keeping to himself, trying not to get into any trouble. And eventually he meets Red. They got their first whole meeting, and he requests a rock hammer. And Red is kind of this guy who's known to get things for people, they say, where kind of smuggles in random things, and he's paid for it. So pretty solid business he got there inside, I guess. And Red kind of grows to like Andy after the first conversation. Kind of notices there's something different about him, and but then over the next few scenes, Andy experiences the brutality of prison life. We probably shouldn't go too deep into it. I don't know if we can talk about everything that goes on in there on the podcast, but we're just gonna leave it as it's. He doesn't go through many good things when at first in prison. We're gonna leave it at that. So, Andy, eventually they get volunteers to do a job outside, which is not where they go on, like, I think they're tarring a roof or something like that. So they get some volunteers. Andy's a part of this, and Captain Hadley, I think, was the one who's like talking about how he gets his inheritance from his brother, who he hates. He says he doesn't care about his death, like, and he's complaining about getting like $35,000 inheritance, which at the time was probably, hold on, what was it, like in the 50s or something? Probably at this time, late 40s.
This part would have taken place in 1949.
Okay, so
I'll pull up the inflation calculator. You keep talking.
All right, you got the inflation stuff. So Captain Adley's complaining about this because he's gonna have to pay taxes or whatever. Then Andy goes to him. Is about to get thrown off a roof, but then talks him down and talks about how he can help with the taxes and all that, as he was a former banker. So that's how he kind of starts helping a bunch of the people in the prison with their taxes and just financial problems and all that. And kind of just gives them like purpose and meaning again in the prison, and kind of makes them feel more human again as he kind of gets back to what he was doing in his job.
Oh, did you just see the number 2, Ryne?
Yeah. Jeez.
What?
So $35,000 in May of 1949. Because if you listen carefully, you hear Red say it was May. Equals $462,935.29.
Hold up.
Okay.
Put
so I was back
a
little bit. I did 1948 on accident. Listen to this number: 496,358.
Bro was complaining about getting 400K. No. Hold up. Look up what 1 million, because the brother had $1 million in 1949. Put that in. This is about to be insane.
$13,226,722.69.
Bro, his brother was loaded. Bro should have been actually closer with him. He could have gotten way more of that inheritance.
Yeah, if you loved your brother, you would have gotten $13 million.
You know what? That's why he was pissed. He was probably like,
yeah,
I should have loved my brother more.
That's why I didn't like his brother, because his brother didn't leave him more.
I mean, you still got 400K in today's money,
That's
so it's
insane.
like, come on, bro.
That is life-changing money.
Bro. and bro's just like, oh man, I gotta pay taxes for this. Oh, all I'm gonna be able to get is just a new car. Like, shut up, bro.
Even with taxes, that's still like $250K in today's money.
Yeah.
Well, no, you have to think about it. Back then, the government didn't take half of our money. It was way less than that.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's go. We get half our money taken.
Hey, digital footprint, Ryan. I'd be careful.
No, that's right. It's all right.
Now, why didn't Captain Hadley just commit tax evasion?
He did, with Andy's help.
That's true. But he didn't need. But what? Why didn't he just consider that in the first place, though, without Andy? That's what I meant. Like, he didn't need Andy's help. He could have just done that on his own. I do that all the time.
He's like, oh.
Yeah,
we're cutting that part out.
Yeah, I think Noah's cutting that part out. For legal reasons, if that doesn't get cut out, Noah has not committed tax evasion.
I have never paid taxes before because I've never had to.
Yeah.
So, disclaimer,
he's not evading taxes. He just doesn't have them.
Yeah, IRS, I don't have any taxes yet. But when I do get them, I will pay them like a law-abiding citizen. Trust. But I'm not going to be happy about it.
I'm not going to be happy about it.
I don't know what you're talking about. I love the government. I love paying taxes.
All right, we're cutting this part out. This is a little off in a little tangent. So, where was I in this? I forgot. Hold up.
You had the scene where they're on the roof.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
was right after he was about to throw him off the roof.
Yeah. So Andy kind of talks Captain Hadley down. I'm surprised that Captain Hadley didn't just throw him off the roof right away. Because I mean, knowing Captain Hadley, he's just a little aggressive, just a tad aggressive.
He's just a silly guy.
Yeah, but eventually, I think it was just kind of the payment for Andy was getting all this beer, and he doesn't drink any of it, but kind of just gives it to the prisoners. And it's an interesting moment where Andy's kind of makes Andy feel human again. That's kind of what a lot of this stuff is, and him just giving this reward to the other prisoners and having them enjoy it. And then, where's that? And that's also kind of something that kind of gives the prisoners some more hope. And when Andy is finally adjusting to life in prison and not just keeping to himself and being quiet the whole time, kind of starts being a bit more bold. And so eventually, with this whole group that's been beating Andy badly and doing some pretty dark things to him, we'll just leave it at that. Eventually, he's beaten pretty badly to where he has to be sent to the infirmary. And I think he's there for a while. But he gets some gifts. He gets posters of... I don't know who the first poster was. Who was the first poster? What was the woman's name again?
Rena something?
Rita something or what? I don't know.
Rita
But
Hayworth, because that's the original name of the book is Rita Hayworth in the Shawshank Redemption.
That makes sense then.
But yeah, so that's one of the gifts. Gets a couple others, like he builds up like this rock collection or whatever, and he kind of like sculpts rocks. It's like a pastime, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And so this gets to this scene that I was talking about earlier, where like they inspect the room, and the warden notices Andy reading his Bible, and they recite their favorite scriptures, and it's pretty interesting scene that it's talking about there. So I don't really need to go that much far into it. Although I think it's
a little off topic here, but since they did talk about favorite scriptures, since I know we all are Christian men, I just was curious what your guys' favorite scriptures were.
I'm gonna say Galatians 5:13. You, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free. Do not use your freedom to indulge the flesh, but rather serve one another humbly in love.
W. That's actually a good one.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real good one.
Mine is I always mix up the reference. Let me make sure I got it right. Luke 24:6. He is not here, he has risen. Remember how he told you while he was still with you in Galilee.
Yep.
That is also mine is Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me, or who strengthens me, depending on translation.
Yeah.
I think the translation I use NIV is just saying like I could do all things through Him who strengthens me, but I mean same thing.
It's all just translation differences. But yeah, sorry for that little off-topic tangent there. I was just really curious.
Yeah. But okay, hold up. Let me pull up what I forget exactly what Mark 13:35 is. So that was the.
But here, you
was
keep
Andy.
going on, Noah. I will be the Google guy.
Okay, hold on.
You keep going, so we're not there.
They use
keeping this longer.
Okay, no, I've already looked
Mark
it up.
13:35. Therefore, keep watch, because you do not know when the owner of the house will come back, whether in the evening or at midnight, or when the rooster crows or at dawn.
Because that's like talking about Jesus' return and stuff, and like the judgment that's coming. So I found that interesting, where the warden's judgment is going to be coming, with Andy actually having that and exposing him for his crimes later on. So kind of like a foreshadowing through that verse a little bit, and then I don't know. I don't think I found anything that was like the deeper meaning with John 8:12 in the context of the story, of course. But okay. Oh, Jesus saying, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, will have the light of life." I didn't really think that deep into it, but I mean, a great verse on its own.
I don't think there's any big significant story wise to it.
Yeah.
Well, unless you want to think of it like that seems like a very like surface level Christian, and I don't for anybody that's just getting into the Christian faith or is not as well versed in it as a lot of people. I don't mean this to offend you, but a lot of people who are kind of like surface level Christians, or I know Noah, you use the term lukewarm Christians when like you're talking
It
about
could be that, or you could say like
your
baby Christian, like just getting into the faith.
yes, yeah, like when people are like people who aren't well versed in the scripture, they're asking their favorite verses. That's like one of the first ones that I hear, at least personally as a Christian. So maybe it's kind of like showing how even though the warden has all this Christianity in the prison, he's not really a Christian.
Yeah, it could be that like that. Also, maybe it could be like where Jesus is saying, "I'm the light of the world." Maybe with that pride the warden has, he can say, "Oh yeah, I'm the light in this dark place as a prison." Maybe he's trying to say that.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's actually a lot better than what I was saying.
So that is interesting though, how something like just with reciting verses, maybe some people, especially people that aren't Christian, would not really think anything of the verses, but that's kind of like when you're a Christian watching this and having all these different Bible references, that just adds so much more to the film. Especially when because I think that's really what made my last viewing. Because okay, so I first watched this like 3 or 4 years ago. I thought it was good, but I didn't really like love it or anything. But then when I watched it last month, it just took on a whole different meaning. And obviously, 3 years ago, I wasn't really a Christian. I just kind of like believed in it, kind of, but never really followed it. But in like recent months, came to be stronger in my faith, and that added that aspect, learning more in the Bible about it, really added a different dimension to this movie when I watched it again, and made me love it more and understand all the different themes of it so much better.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
So okay, so after the scene with the warden and Andy, so so the warden, yeah, he kind of blew it off when it was like, so he just said like the words in the verse John 8:12, but didn't say John 8:12 at first. But Andy kind of gets him on that. He recognized where the verse came from, and the warden maybe a little offended by that or whatever, where he thought he knew all the scriptures so well, but then Andy kind of gets him on that. So maybe a little offended there, and then so Andy after that gets assigned to become Brooks' assistant in the library. Is where we kind of see where Andy starts getting interested in the library and trying to educate the prisoners here. And this is when he starts kind of spamming all the letters and stuff that I forget, where was he sending them to?
He was
Kinda
sending it to the Senate, I believe, the state Senate.
state senate, yeah. So he sent them like every week or something, and they just got so annoyed to the point where they're just like, "Yeah, here's your funding, leave us alone."
Please refrain from sending us any more
Yeah,
letters.
yeah. They
Andy
sent it a little couple
Refrain?
of times.
Andy, refrain.
Andy refrain.
God, that's terrible.
Yeah. So then
I like how that's the first thing I've said in like 10 minutes.
yeah. So Captain Hadley kind of gets some of his buddies as the other officers to come there to help with like financial stuff, tax stuff. And so Andy kind of starts building up this, I guess, business, you could say, maybe, or what, I don't know. He starts getting a little bit of a staff, they say, with Red helping him out during tax season when all of these guys are trying to get help with their taxes and stuff. So then this is when it gets to the one scene where Brooks is attempting to kill Haywood before he's talked out of it. So I thought that was a really powerful scene right there.
Did this happen before or after the opera over the speakers? I can't remember now.
The opera, this is before.
That happened. Okay.
All right. So kind of talked to this. So after that, Red is kind of talking about the concept of being institutionalized and talking about how this is all that he knew for his life. And perhaps Red is maybe kind of fearing that he's going to become like this with Brooks, with how long he's been staying in this prison. And it just seems like he's going to stay in there forever, or he's only going to get out when he's an old man and has nothing left, like Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
And so after that, kind of talk about the scene with Brooks trying to adjust to life on the outside before taking his own life. And yeah, I mean, we already went into that, but I put in my notes the stuff about narration, but Ryne kind of beat me to it there. I think it was Ryne. Ryne, you said that, right?
Yeah, it was Ryne.
Yeah.
Nate wouldn't make a point that profound.
All right.
But that's tough. And then what I got here? All right, so yeah, Andy. All right, so this is when Andy finally got his funding for the library project, but he started sending 2 letters a week actually to get more after they said please refrain from sending us letters. But Andy did not refrain from that. And okay, so this is where it gets to the music scene, where Andy locks the guard in the bathroom, and then he kind of locks all the doors and stuff, and starts playing this opera song over the speakers, kind of just a reminder of the outside world to all the other prisoners. And Andy's also kind of acting in defiance against the authority in the prison, kind of sick of that and trying to get some sort of freedom from it for just a fleeting moment there. And he knows the punishment he's about to get, but he doesn't care. Wants that kind of that freedom, and wants to have a reminder of what the outside world was like with playing that music.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, I was silent for a moment because I thought you guys were going to add something to that, but I don't know. I feel like I've been talking too much here.
What is your movie?
I mean, yeah, but still, like,
It's your week.
It's not my podcast.
Wait, we'll get our chance.
Yeah,
That's fair.
especially
I mean,
at the end with closing thoughts.
movie, he made me talk for 99% of it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was your favorite movie ever, though. So
Yeah, I felt it would have been a disservice to do that movie and not let you take a good chunk of that recording time.
yeah.
A good chunk of the 30 minutes we spent on that movie.
But yeah, did that even hit an hour? I think that was like just under,
No.
like at 50.
No, it did not.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Bachmans. We ended the recording at 59 minutes and 54 seconds.
Yeah.
And part of that got cut out because Nate was talking about Mario Puzo and some things he wrote about.
Oh yeah, we were talking about The Godfather.
Yeah.
Here, let me put the VOD up. Let me see how long it lasted. It was 58 minutes and 59 seconds.
Yeah, all the
Wow.
other episodes are like an hour and a half, and this one's randomly much shorter.
Yeah. A good 50 minutes shorter, or 40.
Yeah, it was a very poorly run episode by me.
This episode is already 10 minutes longer. But also, I feel like, though, that's because there's more to talk about with the Shawshank, though. There's so many interesting themes and stuff, and it's really got that strong message of hope.
Yeah,
Whereas
Goodfellas, it was kind of just like a biopic.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it could have been interesting, I guess, to get more into, like, what's different and stuff, but...
Yeah, but we didn't know any. We didn't do any research.
Yeah, it's crazy that Shawshank's a really good movie, but it's an even better book.
I mean, yeah, you want to get into that now? I've never read the book. Sure. I don't really read books. I only read the Bible. That's pretty much all I read.
That's fair. And me saying I like the book better than the movie, which is true, I think. I don't know. I read the book for the most recent time, like 3 years ago, and I watched the movie today, so the movie's more fresh in my mind. But me saying I like the book more than I like the movie isn't any shot against the movie. It's just I really like the book. First off, the book's a lot more happy, which I know isn't all.
Well, how can being more happy in a violent prison with all this stuff is kind of hard to do. So that's interesting.
Well, yeah. The main thing is Brooks doesn't kill himself. He just dies in an old folks' home.
Oh, yeah, well, he dies of natural causes.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, I feel like that was more powerful with what happened here in the movie, though, with Brooks doing that. Like, it's extremely sad, but it just kind of hammers home the point of how,
Yeah, I
like,
do think thematically it's done better in the movie.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
That's fair. Here, I will pull up a list of there's a Shawshank Redemption book versus movie. There was an article I was reading today that here's the 10 major differences that happen between the book and the film. Uh Tommy doesn't get killed by the warden in the movie. I think he's just like they just like beat the shit out of him.
Well,
Like the inmates do, or
I think,
No, the warden. They actually transfer him
warden,
to another
okay.
prison. That's what they
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I feel like it works
do. Mhm.
better in the movie, though, just to be a little more dramatic. But I mean, I guess
Yeah,
that
yeah.
just comes down to preference. That's not,
yeah, I mean it's
uh,
also it's a different type of media too. Like it's
yeah.
visual media versus a book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like
And
you gotta show it in a different way.
Yeah.
Shawshank, as much as I love it, I'll harken back to it like Fury. Also, Shawshank isn't an easy watch. It's a
No,
very
it is not.
intense
No.
movie.
Yeah.
It's not like next week's episode, which I promise for all of you is going to be a wonderful, delightful, easy watch.
What even is the next episode? I forgot.
The
It's the
Nice
nice
Guys.
guys.
Oh yeah.
That's the Ryan Gosling one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, good movie. That's a good one. That'll be a fun one to talk about.
And the reason Andy has the gun at the beginning of the book or in the movie in the book is because he's trying to kill himself, not because he's thinking about killing his wife.
Okay.
So he's
I
like
feel like
suicidal for like the first half of the
I
book.
But I don't
the
know.
book.
Why would
I
he
think
be
the
at the
book might
house
do
though?
that. Maybe kind. I don't know. Maybe like to show do it in front of his wife
Yeah, yeah,
as like
that's
a
why he does it.
That's a.
form of revenge.
I mean, I
Mhm.
guess, but that makes it seem a little confusing then, if that was the intention.
Mhm.
Because yeah, I
I
mean,
think
I thought it
I
was
think
clear that he was trying to
thematically,
kill him.
I'm actually gonna say this. I think from a story standpoint, I think that would have been better because it showed how Andy could go from the lowest point of his life to where he's going to kill himself to the hopeful Shawshank escapee. So I think thematically that might be slightly done better.
Yeah, I
I,
would
ca-
agree with that.
I could see that. Yeah.
Mhm. And then I remember in the book, Red isn't black.
Yeah,
The
he's an
Irish
Irish.
dude.
Yep.
That's why he's called Red. His hair's
Yeah,
red.
because of his
Yeah.
red hair.
Mhm. But that's not something I prefer about the book to the movie. I think Morgan Freeman's a perfect casting.
No, that's just like that's like trivia night right there.
Yeah, yeah. Like it doesn't. As far as I remember, it doesn't fucking impact anything that happens in the book.
No, I don't think at least from the watch that we just did, I don't think the fact that red is black even comes up in the book or in the movie.
Yeah,
Well, I
I
do think
don't. I don't think
there
it
is
does.
there is a moment where it's just like, Andy's like, "Why did they call you Red?" And he's just like, "Oh, I think it's because I'm Irish." I think that's really the only time where that
Oh no,
kind of
but
thing is talked about.
His name's Ellis Redding. Like
Yeah.
his last
Mhm.
name is Redding. Like that's why they call him Red.
Hmm.
Red was just making
Yeah.
a joke.
Hmm.
Um, I think it's very maybe this is what I got from the movie and it wasn't happening and I was just filling in the spot in my mind with it. But I feel like the first time he gets denied parole, it's kind of hinted at that it's because he's African American. Like that's a contributing factor in it.
I mean, it could have been like it was
Yeah.
1949, so like
Yeah, yeah.
it definitely in the context of the film, like not
Mhm.
taking the book into account, it probably could have been, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think it's outwardly stated, but that's just kind of like the impression I was given.
Well, it's like it's the time of it's the setting. Like it's
Yeah,
1949.
yeah.
Like it makes sense. Like there's no I don't remember there being any evidence to support that, but like
Yeah, but I also wouldn't be
it's,
surprised if it was the case.
I mean,
yeah, it's
yeah.
not a it's not a far leap in logic to make.
Yeah.
It could have been part of it, but it really was. I mean, the context of the story, it's really just about him giving kind of like a scripted answer, really, where it wasn't really from the heart, like it was when he finally does get granted parole and confessing his guilt. Really,
which we'll talk
kind
about
of just
because I love that scene. I love that scene. It's a great scene.
Yeah, it's just like the first two times it's kind of just like rehearsed and stuff, and that's probably why they didn't get it. But I mean, I guess that could have definitely been race could have definitely been a part of it, but I don't know if that was really implied too much. But okay, where was I now in my notes? So we got to get back to plot, I guess. So where was I? So we were after the music scene, I believe. So after Andy gets out of, I think he got sentenced to the hole for a week after it or something like that.
Yeah, it was 2 weeks in solitary for the music.
Yeah,
and then he goes, "Easiest time I've ever done."
Yep. And everybody's like, "Oh, there's no easy time in the hole." So after that, Red is they were kind of talking about hope a little bit, and this is where Red is like, "Oh, hope is a dangerous thing," and he's kind of shutting himself off from that and kind of having this pessimism about it. And then after that, Andy, his library project continues to be successful, gets more funding, and they named the library after Brooks, which I thought was cool. Nice little touch there. And then so that kind of helps educate the prisoners. We got some music in there too. So the character Haywood was talking about like how he should have played Hank Williams on there, but then we see in the library he's listening to Hank Williams. So I thought that was a cool little callback. And this is where Andy starts helping the warden with his illegal business or whatever it was. I don't know exactly the terminology for it, but
he's money laundering.
Yeah, money laundering. So some shady stuff, And then this is when Tommy gets introduced. So we were talking about him a little earlier. So he's introduced here, gets killed in like 3 scenes, but so this is where he wants to get educated by Andy, where Andy's helping teach these prisoners. But this dude is pretty stupid, to put it bluntly. He bro doesn't even know like his ABCs or how to read. Like literally right away, he's like, "Oh yeah, it's just I don't read so good." And Andy's like, "Oh, what am I getting myself into?" So then, over the course of a year, I think it was. Over the course of a year, Andy was teaching Tommy here, and eventually Tommy tells Andy about the truth about what happened, where he actually heard about who killed his wife and person she was cheating on him with, and then Andy tries to tell this to the warden to get himself free, and this is where the warden does not want Andy to get out and snitch on him for what they have done. And I mean, actually, Andy first makes the mistake where he's trying to reassure the warden that he's just going to keep this between, or keep it all private. But then the warden's not buying it and puts him in solitary for I think a month, which is like the longest anybody had ever heard of somebody being in solitary. It's kind of just showed how seriously the warden was taking this.
And he throws him back in for another month after it.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, imagine being in solitary confinement for a whole month, finally seeing light, and then the warden is just like, maybe you need another month in there.
Oh my god!
Like I don't know how bro didn't go like insane after that. That just shows how incredible of a man Andy is, that he didn't just completely lose his cool and everything after that. He almost did, but
I would have gone insane. I absolutely would have gone insane.
I mean, even just like a week in there sounds horrific, but 2 months, insane. Because what do you're just there with your own thoughts in complete darkness. The only time you see light is when they like slide the little thing open and feed you with the terrible prison food.
Yeah, just start hitting crazy amounts of push-ups. Just get juiced.
Yeah,
just get absolutely yoked.
I mean, that's just what you got to do. Yeah, why didn't Andy do that in prison? 19 years and he has the exact same physique.
Bro was not grinding.
Like, bro, you're in prison. There's nothing to do. Like, just start doing push-ups in yourself. Actually, no. You know what? You know why he couldn't do that? Because he was carving that tunnel and the for his
Uh,
escape. That's what he's doing.
that's-
That's
Yeah,
what he's
if he was
depressed on.
carving that tunnel like every day, how did he not get juiced from that?
I
That's
mean, maybe
true.
he did. He might just have the ultimate sleeper build.
Craziest sleeper build I've ever seen.
I don't know. There are some, but he's like wearing a tank top a lot of the time though. So
That's
maybe
true.
not. I don't know. No, maybe he just needs to get a pump in. Then we'll see.
Yeah.
He just didn't have the pump. But okay, so after that, so Tommy took his test. He thought he failed, but he did not believe himself, but he actually passed somehow, even though he didn't really know his ABCs somehow.
I
But
will
after
say being able to pass your GED after not knowing how to read just a year prior is
I don't know, maybe back in the day, this is probably what by now, like the '60s or something. I don't know, maybe
yeah,
back in the '60s, a lot of people were just
66.
stupid. Yeah, it was like
That's
after JFK's assassination or something. I think they said.
yes,
Mhm.
it was.
Yeah,
Well,
so
see, I would say that's impressive, but I graduated high school without knowing how to read. So
Well, yeah, but you graduated high school with the No Kid Left Behind program, so it doesn't really count.
yeah, that's why I dropped out of college after 1 year.
bro realized he's not built for this.
That's why I didn't go to college.
All right, so after that, this is when Tommy dies. Rest in peace. The warden kills him, and he's like trying to at first, like when he takes him outside, is trying to like assure like, okay, is he actually like does he actually know stuff? And like he asks him if he's gonna swear on the Bible. He says he will, and then that's when he's like, all right, we gotta cap this guy.
We gotta cap this guy.
Noah's speaking in those mafia terms now after watching Goodfellas.
Yeah, I've
Right,
been watching
no,
too many mafia movies with the Godfather films and then the Goodfellas.
No, he should have said we gotta whack this guy then.
Oh yeah, that's right. There we yeah. So the warden whacks
We gotta
Johnny
ice this guy.
or Tommy. Said Tommy unfortunately gets whacked, and so Andy finally gets out of solitary after 2 months in there, and it does seem like he's lost his hope. Where because he's been in solitary for 2 months first off, and then he found out that the only dude who knew for sure he was innocent just got killed. So Andy bought a rope. So gosh, I keep forgetting the dude's name. Haywood. Yeah. So Haywood is just like, oh yeah, I just gave him 6 feet of rope, and then everybody's just like, dude, you're an idiot. Just like, yeah, I didn't think anything of it. Just somebody randomly buying 6 feet of rope here in prison. So Haywood's a little might be a little slow, but it's okay. He's still a cool character.
He's just a silly guy.
Yeah,
He's just a
he was
goofy.
just a little goofy. But yeah, so Andy and right after he got out of solitary, Andy and Red had an interesting conversation, and that's where the fantastic line Andy says, "Get busy living or get busy dying." It's kind of like at first maybe it can be interpreted in the context of that scene when you're first watching, where it's like Andy might be getting busy dying because he's at his lowest point, and it seems like he's just gonna end it all right there, but he's actually gonna start getting busy living, where he's finally planning his escape now, and his whole everything's coming together with him digging the tunnel. So he knows that it's time for him to escape, and there's no hope of him getting out of prison in an actual correct way. So, and it's also interesting how Red for this whole film kind of has been getting busy dying, I guess you could say, in the context of this line, where he is just still holding on to kind of that pessimism and that fear, and is just wanting to reject all hope. But eventually, at the end, Red gets that hope with Andy, which is interesting. So, after that, when morning arrives, so at that night, Red was fearing that Andy was going to hang himself, but then they find out that he's just completely disappeared from the cell, and that's when another iconic shot we see where the warden is looking through the tunnel from the perspective of the tunnel, and we see just how big the tunnel is behind the photo of another. I don't even know who the woman was. It kept changing the poster of some woman up there that Andy kept staring at, and the warden discovers that tunnel, and we learn how Andy escaped and all of that, and then we also see the shot, that iconic shot we talked about, where he finally gets out of the tunnel, raises his arms up in the rain. Absolutely iconic shot. And so after that, he assumes a new identity, and that was the identity of the fake person he made up to cover for the money laundering the warden was doing. And he took that money and starts his new life in Mexico. And the warden, he takes his life as the police were about to arrest him. And then finally Red gets granted parole, and this is where he gives like the actual authentic answer.
Greatest scene in the movie.
Yeah. So I think you can talk about that real quick. I gotta go for like a minute, so if you want to talk about this scene and stuff, go ahead. I'll be right back so we can keep this going.
Okay.
Excuse me. Yeah, this is my favorite scene in the whole movie.
Mhm.
I took a public speaking class when I was in high school, my sophomore year of high school,
Mhm.
and
Oh,
for one of the projects we had to do, we had to pick a iconic scene or iconic speech from a movie, and perform.
I
Yeah,
do
and
this too. Yeah.
and perform it in front of the class.
Uh-huh.
So while a lot of people did the Coach Carter, our greatest fear speech, which great speech
Ooh, that's
too.
a good one. Mhm.
But I decided to do this one mostly just because as a sophomore in high school, I just wanted to have an excuse to say shit in school.
Mhm.
But like,
Valid.
yeah, that was like as a sophomore in high school, like that was my reasoning. But as someone who has matured into an adult now, and I've now,
Can say shit whenever you want.
yeah, well, yeah, but like I've become more of a film guy.
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
instead of just watching shitty movies just to watch shitty movies and say they're good, I'll like actually watch movies. I I had I decided to put this on probably about 2 years ago because I'm sitting here like I remember when I did something from this movie in high school,
Mhm.
and I'm sitting there. I get to the scene, and I'm listening to it, and I don't remember it word for word anymore, which is a disservice to this movie because it's a great speech. But
Mhm.
the final kind of like paragraph of this speech where he goes, so just go stamp your form, Sonny. God, I typed it out in the chat. See, now I'm blanking on it. Now that I gotta pull it from memory.
I'll pull it up. About to be talking this chat a lot. I have to fucking go up a long way.
Yeah, there's a lot of yap going on here.
A whole lot of yeah. Go ahead and
Go
stamp your
on, go on
forms.
and stamp your form, Sonny, and stop wasting my time. Because to tell you the truth, I don't give a shit. It kind of
Mhm.
showed that like all this time we were talking about the hope that Andy was giving. Like Andy
Mhm.
was the beacon of hope for the whole movie. Now that Andy's gone, Red's over here like I truly don't care what you guys do with me anymore.
Mhm.
And I just find it very ironic that that was the thing that got him released from prison.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Like he loses all his hope and then he gets paroled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he gains hope once he gets out of there. He had no hope,
Mhm.
but the only thing that kept him going was that hope that Andy had given him and the
Mhm.
promise he made to him.
Yeah, because I truly believe that if he was granted parole and Andy didn't tell him to go to that rock wall, I
Mhm.
truly believe that he would have ended up exactly like Brooks.
I don't think so. I think he.
I think so.
I feel
He
like
I
was
think he would end up back
he
in prison
was
because he
put
said
in prison. He was put in prison when he was 18 years old. He did 40 years of a life sentence. So he was 58.
Yeah, I think he would have just gone back to prison because he talks about thinking about doing that. I don't think he would have killed himself. I think he would have gone back to prison.
That's fair.
Or
But
or maybe it
that's
just would have taken him longer to get to that point than Brooks.
yes.
Yeah.
But that's also in the context of he had Andy. Like if Andy wasn't there from the start, I
Mhm.
truly believe that he would have ended up just like Brooks.
Yeah. Speaking of that project, Nate, I found the monologue that I did. I did the Forrest Gump one when Jenny dies.
Oh, that's a good one too.
Yeah.
Noah, just so you're aware, the context for all this, when I started talking about this scene, I talked about how when I was a sophomore, I took a public speaking class, and one of our projects was to give a speech from a movie, and this was the speech that I gave.
Oh. Why couldn't I have done that in my speech class? That's lame. I would love to do that.
Yeah, I also mentioned how a lot of people did the Our Deepest Fear speech from Coach Carter, which is also another really good one.
That's elite. I probably would have chose to do that, or at least that would have been one of my choices. That's incredible.
If I could redo that project, I would do the I am the danger scene from Breaking
Oh
Bad.
my!
What someone in my class did the Goofy Goober speech from the SpongeBob movie.
That's a good one.
But yeah, that's about all I have to say on this scene. I know I probably didn't talk as much as I hyped up that I would have, but it's still a great scene. It's a fantastic scene.
Yeah. So after that, so okay, I think we were on the part. So Red gets out, and he's he has the same parole thing as Brooks, same room where we see the Brooks is here, but Brooks was here, carved on
Same
the
job
wall.
too.
Yeah, same exact job, bagging groceries. And I found an interesting part of that where Red is having to ask to go to the bathroom because that's what he had to do in prison. But the I don't know who it was, his employer or something. I guess the person there was just like,
just his boss.
yeah, you don't. Yeah, his boss was just like, yeah, you don't have to ask to go to the bathroom. Like you're an adult, buddy. But it kind of just shows how, like prison kind of just makes them be like kids where they have to ask permission to do everything. And now he's kind of having to adjust. It's kind of like in college, everybody's. I've been in college yet, but everybody's like, yeah, you don't have to ask for permission to go to the bathroom. You can just walk out of the lecture room or whatever. Compared to high school and all that, where you have to ask for permission.
Carry around the stupid pass.
Mm-hmm.
It's always the most random object too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in my middle school science class, it was a rock. Like it was an actual boulder.
A rock? Bro, what?
And it was a rock you had to hold with like both hands because it was heavy.
Of all the things to make a pass.
I had a door handle one year.
What? Bro, I've never had anything that wild, but just like, I don't know. Some other random things, but not as random as that.
When I was a junior or senior in high school, a sub wrote a nurse pass for me, and he forgot to put a date on it. So I had a undated signed nurse pass for the entire year that I could just take whenever I wanted and not go to class.
That's a W.
And the nurse was always chill with it. Like she did not care if we did not go to class.
No, that's crazy. And that would never happen in my school. So, we get to the kind of the ending of this where Red finds the letter and some money that Andy gave to him at the place where Red promised that he would look for the thing Andy had for him.
Mm-hmm.
And the film ends with Red and Andy coming back together at the beach in Mexico, and kind of just starting their new life, which is a beautiful ending.
Yeah, which is a surprisingly happy ending for a movie this dark and depressing, which is nice.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's kind of the whole point, where the environment is so dark and depressing, but the main message is hope, because after all of that, getting out of all of that, it's it comes together in a happy ending. That's kind of maybe kind of symbolic of like when Andy has to go through that tunnel that probably smells absolutely horrible, and it's like they say it's 500 yards, and he gets
Oh,
out
that
of
scene is
all
so
that
hard to.
stuff. Yeah, but he gets out of all that stuff and has freedom, and that's kind of just what the whole film is about.
Yeah, that scene's probably a close second for best scene when he's rummaging through all the sewage, basically.
The only
Mhm.
reason I don't say that's best scene is because it is so hard for me to watch that scene. Because
No.
It is
I'm very
tough.
claustrophobic.
Yeah,
Mm.
and to think he had to climb or crawl through the wall first too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right, and for that long too.
Yeah, it's like you said, Ryan. It's a very tough watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I guess we could get into like I don't know what my favorite scene would be. I mean, I feel like I really like the moment where the warden finds the tunnel that Andy built, and I just love that shot where it's the warden looking at the tunnel, and we get it from this perspective of the tunnel as it
And
kind of
he's like
zooms down.
he's ripping the
Yeah,
poster away.
yeah, really
Mhm.
love that shot. I really like
I will
the.
say, sorry, I didn't go
No,
ahead. Sorry.
you can go. You can go on.
I just want to say I cannot watch that scene without thinking of the Family Guy parody that they did for Shawshank, where when he throws the rock through the poster, it goes through the woman's butt, and the warden in this Family Guy parody, he puts his finger in the poster and he kind of just leaves it there for a couple of seconds before like he rips it away and all that. So it is a great scene, but I cannot watch that scene without thinking of that scene just because of how out of pocket it is.
Yeah. Also, yeah, I really like the scene where Andy's playing the music on the speakers. I thought that was a cool
Mhm.
moment in the middle of the movie.
That is a good scene.
But yeah, I
Every
mean,
scene's a good scene.
my favorite would probably have to be the one where they discover that Andy's disappeared, and then we put the pieces together that he has escaped. And it's like it's interesting because every prison movie you just expect it to just be like, oh, the main character's gonna escape. That's what the whole thing is about. But it's like in this one, it's not really set up to be the main goal is to escape. In fact, it
Mhm.
like presents a different idea where it's like the prisoners want to stay there because they've been there so long that it's their home now. So it's
Mhm.
just that's what makes it surprising. Where it's and also they kind of set up that like that Andy is has finally ran out of hope, and it's kind of set up that maybe he might end his own life, but kind of get that little twist that no, he's been planning this whole escape from the beginning, and the little pieces have been there, but it's surprising because you would have never expected somehow with that little rock hammer to carve out a whole tunnel.
I do think it's very like we got the shot of him trying to carve his name into the wall. Like he was not even contemplating escaping until he started trying to carve his name, and he saw how fragile the wall was.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So I think it's excuse me, Jesus. Sorry. Um, I found it very interesting how that was pretty much his center of hope the whole time was how he knew he could get out. He just had to wait for the
Mhm.
time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think that covers it for plot and just like some of our favorite scenes.
Mhm.
So now the final thing I want to go over. Oh, hold on.
Ryan,
How
did you
long?
say your favorite scene?
Oh yeah.
My favorite scene is probably probably the scene where they're right after Andy helps that other cop with setting up the trust fund for his kids to go to school, when they're all talking about it at the lunch table, where they're like, "Oh, he shook his hand," and they're all freaking out. I love that scene. Just where they're all like messing around. I love scenes in movies where it's just like the main characters, like the plot's not really happening, and they're just kind of like shooting the shit with each other. Like the science room scene in No Way Home.
Or
Where
the Joe Pesci funny guy scene.
yeah, where the plot's not really happening and they're all just kind of talking. We let the characters like actually shine.
Yeah.
Let them just be the characters.
Well, that happens a lot in Tarantino's work, where you get a 5-minute dialogue scene that isn't really about anything related to the plot, but just characters talking about a random thing. Like I think
like the diner scene in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, or I was going to reference something else in Pulp Fiction, where it's like at the beginning when we first meet Vincent and Jules, and they're just in the car scene, and then when they're walking into like the hotel, it's still not really related that much to the plot, seemingly at first, but especially in the car scene where they're just talking about fast food, and that's their introduction.
Pig's a filthy animal. I don't eat hog.
No, I'm not Jewish. I just don't like to dig on swine.
Every time I watch that scene, I can't help but to think of that one Shannon Sharp clip.
Oh, the one where he's porking his wife?
No, not that one.
Please specify which Shannon Sharp clip in the context of what happened a few days ago. All right.
All right. Fair enough. The one where he's talking with Skip Bayless and he's talking about bacon, and Skip Bayless is like, "You don't eat bacon. That's just fried fat." And Shannon Sharp's like, "I love hog. I eat everything on the pig except the squeal." And then he does a pig squeal.
All right, little off topic there.
What a character, Shannon Sharp, everybody.
Yeah.
So
he has a very healthy marriage with his wife, apparently.
Oh, shut up, Ryne.
Okay,
we're not doing that.
We're not doing that. Shannon Sharp is 56 years old. The dude is absolutely jacked still. I find that absolutely impressive. So good for Shannon Sharp. Good for him. Healthy man. All right. Just gonna leave it at that. So next thing I want to touch on is a lot of the symbolism in this film, which also brings back, like, there's so many religious themes and symbols in this movie. One of them I really like is the hollowed out Bible, where he hid the rock hammer into the Bible and carved it out, and it kind of just shows like how the warden's usage of the Bible was hollow, where he didn't actually follow it. Again, touching on how he's essentially a Pharisee, a hypocrite. So I thought that was really nice, and also the placement of it was very intentional, where the placement in the book of Exodus, which is about the Israelites being freed, and again, Andy, that kind of symbolizes how that was his pathway to freedom right there. And
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
Dude,
and also
good catch. Good catch.
And I think the word Exodus literally means it means liberation, to be free. So I noticed that on this viewing, so that was really nice. And I mean, it's just so many things that are very intentional in this. And also another thing is that like when Andy gets the beer, gives the beer to all the other prisoners after they did that job or whatever, it can again tying into religion again, where it kind of symbolizes like Jesus's first miracle, turning water to wine, that type of thing. And Andy can kind of represent like a Jesus figure, I guess you could say, where he is going into this place of darkness and he is the only one that is blameless. Where it's like, again, in the Christian faith, where Jesus is born into a world of sin, and he's the only one that's sinless, and everybody else has sin. And here in the Shawshank, Andy is the only one that is truly innocent, and everybody else is guilty of their crimes. And Andy is the one that is able to restore hope to these people, as Jesus also restores hope in humanity for redemption. And yeah, so that kind of ties in again with just the tie-in with Jesus' first miracle, with the beard being given to the other inmates.
Yeah,
And I think
not exactly like it, I get what you're saying. Like not exactly the
Yeah.
same, but like very similar. Like Andy Dufresne is basically. I don't want to call him a Jesus figure because that feels.
Yeah. It
It's-
feels a little bit wrong, but it's like it ties
In-
into that.
in the context of the movie, like it makes sense
Yeah.
to say that.
hmm Yeah, I didn't really know how else to describe it, so I described it like that. But obviously, Andy is not Jesus.
Yes.
Let me make that completely clear. There's the tie-in with that a little bit, symbolizing that type of idea.
It's very easy to make the connection because Jesus is very much a symbol of hope,
hmm
and Andy Dufresne is pretty much the only hopeful character in the entire film.
Yeah, especially with the idea of like the only blameless one in the Shawshank, where Jesus is considered the only blameless person to have lived on Earth to not have any sin. So that's really where I make the tie-in right there with Jesus. Like obviously Andy sinned, but I'm just saying like not he wasn't guilty of crime in the prison.
Yes, he was not. He was sent there unjustly.
Yeah. And also, I mean, that can kind of be like the thing, like Jesus died unjustly because he wasn't guilty of that crime. So I guess you could kind of, that might be a bit of a stretch, but just kind of going off in tangents a little bit. And also,
the symbolism comparing him to Jesus, like it's definitely there.
Yeah.
And like even the scene of him kneeling in the water, like with his arms out, is very reminiscent of Jesus on the cross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially in a film with like so many religious kind of tie-ins and symbols and stuff, like with the hollowed out Bible and just with mentions of scripture with the warden and stuff. I think definitely there was some sort of intention there with that. And I think just overall, like the whole with the title, The Shawshank Redemption, I think you might originally think like, oh, it's Andy's redemption, but he's blameless. He wasn't guilty of anything. It's really Red's redemption. I see it as where he's able to gain hope. And I guess, I mean, you could say redemption of all the prisoners, where they are humanized and they're given hope again for a future, but especially with Andy, where he's given hope for a future, and now he is able to go to Mexico and live a great life with Andy.
I think it's more of a literal title than anything. I think it's literally a redemption of Shawshank Prison itself. Because at the very end of the movie, you have the warden being taken out of the prison and the captain of the guards also being arrested, and you have new people coming into the prison, and it sort of gives this like light of optimism that with all the things that Andy's done for the prison and with the new leadership in charge, that this prison's been redeemed and it can actually be a place of rehabilitation for all these people that need it. So it's an actual redemption of the prison itself.
Yeah, I didn't really think of it like that. I was focused on the characters, but yeah, that is also very true too, and a great part of it. So I think that's what I've got for that part. I don't want to go like super deep into it because we've already gone on for quite a bit in this podcast. So we can go into final thoughts now. I can let you guys take over, and I've talked a lot here. So what you guys got for your final thoughts and review score? If anybody wants to start here.
Yeah.
Go ahead, take it, Ryne.
Okay. You want to go or you want me to go? Sorry.
No, I told you. I said go ahead and take it.
Okay, cool. I really enjoyed this movie, rewatching it more than I thought I would. I knew it was gonna get a pretty high grade. I was sitting at 4 stars is what I because you know, even if you have a movie that you've seen a long time ago, you kind of have an idea of what you're gonna rate it in your head, but even before you do a rewatch, it's impossible to do a blank rewatch. So I was coming in thinking this was gonna be a 4.5 movie. I'd have a good time. I know I was talking to my mom about watching this movie because she loves the book. It's her favorite book of all time. And she said she didn't really like the movie. So I'm like, maybe there's something I missed that isn't as great of this movie, but no, I went into this movie and I absolutely loved it. Um I don't want to say I liked it more than Goodfellas because Goodfellas is my favorite. But I do think that this is objectively a better movie. This is probably the objective better movie we've watched this month. No hate to Goodfellas. But this movie was just really good. It is, in every sense of the word, a masterpiece. It makes so much sense why it's on the. I don't know if it cracks top 10, but I know it's on the IMDb top 20 films.
No, I think
Um,
it's the bet. I think it's the
I
highest for IMDb.
I believe it is
is
the
it really?
best.
Hold on. Yeah, let me look this up. I'm pretty sure.
And yes, it is. It is the number one ranked movie on IMDb at a 9.3 out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah, it's over The Godfather.
I don't know how I feel about it being over The Godfather, but
Yeah, I think.
I don't want to throw shade to this movie in this
Yeah.
episode. We can talk about that when we do The Godfather.
Yeah.
We have
But
to
yeah,
watch
this
The
movie's
Godfather
great.
now.
Yes, you do.
How
This
am I
movie,
just
What?
hold on?
huh?
Short tangent. How am I just now finding out The Godfather Part 2 is 3.5 hours long?
Oh yeah, that is long. Yeah, it's a
It's a
it's
long
definitely
one.
it's definitely harder to get through than the first one, and maybe that's why I didn't really enjoy it as much. I still give it 4.5 stars though. I literally gave it like I think a 9.5. It was like just short of 5 stars for my letterbox
You
stuff. But
you know what? I'm surprised is top 10, and I'm very happy about it. 12 Angry Men. That's a movie I want to do very badly one day.
yeah, I've never seen it.
It's
You should
very
Schindler's
good. It has
List on here.
Fight Club and Inception were both snubbed out of the top 10.
Interesting.
I don't know.
They
I don't
got
know
they got
about that.
2 Lord of the Rings movies up here. I Return of the King deserves to be up here, but I don't know about Fellowship of the Ring at number 9.
I
I
don't.
think
I don't.
Fellowship's the worst of the trilogy.
All
I don't think
three Lord of the
Return.
Rings movies are top 15, by the way.
Wow. I don't know. That's kind of. I mean, they're
Two
really
Dude,
good
Towers.
they
movies,
have.
but like,
Two Towers is ranked at 14th.
wow, The Matrix over Goodfellas. Yeah, I disagree with that. I mean,
Yeah.
The Matrix is good, but like not as good as Goodfellas.
They have the same score, though, so.
Yeah, but still, I mean, but the reason they have it over it is because The Matrix has more ratings than Goodfellas.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Interstellar 19. Okay.
Empire Strikes Back at 20.
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse at 25.
That's insane. Like, I think it deserves it, but that movie just came out and it's already in the top
Hold up.
25.
Hold up. Why is it when I pull it up on my thing, it was 30? It's at 37.
Is that Into the Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse?
No, it's across the Spider Verse.
I'm not sure. Me and Ryan are
I'm
both
right.
seeing it at 25.
Huh. Interesting.
Here, I'll drop the link that I'm looking at in the channel real quick.
All right. Well, this one's got Dune Part 2 at 45.
This one's based, is what you're saying.
45.
I've never seen either Dune movie, so I don't know.
Flash at 39.
Okay, they've got
That's pretty low.
Django at 55.
Yeah, Django here is 43.
Nate will hate on the Dune movies just because he thinks it's funny to hate on Timothy Chalamet. But both the Dune movies are very good.
The first one was kind of bad. It wasn't bad. It was just boring.
The first one definitely is boring, but it's one of those movies where it's also how I'm gonna feel about the third Spider-Verse movie, because Spider-Verse 2 and 3 are definitely two parts of one story. Dune 1 and Dune 2 are two parts of the same story because they're both adapted from the same book.
Yeah.
Well,
So you
I
don't
mean,
really
makes
get the
sense.
full.
Spider Verse 3 is gonna take. Spider Verse 3 should take place right after number 2, though. So it's
It
like.
will.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
little tangent there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Ryan, if you want to finish
Yes.
up your final thoughts, I'm sorry
Yeah.
to
Finish my final
get us off
thoughts.
track there.
Shawshank is a masterpiece. 5 out of 5 stars. Give this movie a let's say 9.7 out of 10.
Wow, 9.7.
I'll give it a 9.8.
All right. I am very critical with movies. I
No, you're
There's a
not.
lot
You
of
gave Fury 5 stars.
that was you told me to rank it based off enjoyment, and I enjoy the movie. Shut up. Anyways, I am usually very critical towards movies. If you were to ask my wife, she would say the same thing. There's a lot of movies that are very well received that I'm not huge fans of. Pulp Fiction being a great example.
Scream 3 being
This
another example.
Scream 3 was fine. I defended Scream 3. Scream 4 is terrible though. This is probably the only perfect film I have ever watched. There's very
Bro, never
little.
watched The Godfather?
I actually haven't.
Oh, you gotta watch it. That's literally the perfect one.
I'm
Carry on.
debating whether or not to wait until we do it for the podcast,
I'm gonna make.
so that way we can have a first watch perspective.
Yeah, I got you.
But yeah, this is quite literally the only perfect film I can say that I have watched, and I truly believe that when I say it. I legitimately have no complaints when it comes to watching this movie. Like, even for the good movies we've done, like Django is a really, really fantastic movie, and there's still some complaints there. Goodfellas, also a really good movie. I'm sure I had some complaints. I just can't remember them off the top of my head. But yeah, this movie is the pinnacle of movies. Like, there's a reason why this is ranked number 1 on IMDb, and I think it's very well deserved. Is it my favorite movie of all time? No, but again, that's not to tarnish this movie itself, just because it's still fantastic. Like, my favorite movie of all time is Back to the Future. Like, that's very obviously not a perfect movie, but it's my favorite. So yeah, I gave this a five stars, and I gave it a 10 out of 10. It's the perfect movie.
You know, on my letterbox, I gave it a 10 out of 10, so I'll just say 10 out of 10 here. It deserves it.
W Ryan.
Right. So, this is one of the 10 movies I have given 5 stars on a letterbox. So, yeah, spoiler alert, I give it a 5 stars, 10 out of 10. I mean, just absolutely incredible movie. So many great themes and messages here. And, I mean, just so many interesting things to talk about. I mean, this is our longest podcast episode. I think we've pretty much hit 2 hours now, I think. So, there's a reason why we were able to talk about this so long, because there's so many great messages here, so many great performances, a great script, some great cinematography here too. I mean, really, no complaints. I'm not going to say this is the best movie I've ever watched. I think in terms of like the most well made as a quote unquote objective as I can get, even though I hate using that word for this, but I would say The Godfather is probably the best movie I've ever seen in terms of like, because I'm just saying like the best performances and stuff I've seen and all that. But I think, I mean, there's just something special about The Shawshank where I prefer it over The Godfather. Just to my, I mean, I gave both 5 stars, so they're very close. But yeah, so I have it as my second favorite movie. Whiplash is still my number 1, although I haven't watched Whiplash in a little bit, so I guess maybe that could change. But this movie is incredible.
Whiplash episode coming November. Stay tuned.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens then. But yeah, I mean, this movie, no complaints. I mean, yeah, like the only movies like I say are perfect. I would say, I mean, this one's perfect. Godfather's perfect, and then I don't know if I would go as far as say Whiplash is literally perfect, but I mean, I don't have any complaints with it. But
I'd have to watch it again before saying that, because it's been a couple of years since I've seen it too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not, you know what? Screw it. It's my number 1. I'm gonna say it's perfect. All right.
That's fair.
We're gonna go.
That's
with that.
fair. That's a totally
that's
fair
how I treat Goodfellas.
Yeah.
I'm not
What?
I'm just not the same. Like I can recognize the faults of Back to the Future. I just personally love it just because I have a lot of good memories associated with it.
Yeah. Well, and I also think A New Hope is like very close to perfect, honestly. Just for what it's trying to achieve and all that. It's not trying to say anything groundbreaking, but I think for what it tries to do, it's pretty much perfect in that aspect.
Mm-hmm. That is very fair.
But yeah, I think that. Wait, hold on. What do I got for my? Okay, so my favorites on Letterboxd are Whiplash, Pulp Fiction, and A New Hope and Shawshank. I might put A New Hope off there and put Godfather on there.
I mean, can't you just put
Really?
Godfather on there though, or is it
I can. It's limited to 4 that you can put on like the home
really?
screen of your profile.
How do you do that?
Really? Yeah.
I think
Actually.
you go. It's like in your account settings or something where you can just go to settings and you can just add some favorite movies there.
Oh, I see it.
Okay, but
I don't.
yeah, we can go and wrap this up. I guess. Wait, hold on. I should. So I talked about how I have 10 5-star movies. How can I go and see all of them? Do I just go?
Go to your diary.
Well, yeah. Well, no, I haven't put all the 5 stars in my diary though. Something I just rated that I didn't put in my diary in the past. I guess I'm gonna just go sort by highest rating. Okay, so Pulp Fiction, Whiplash, The Dark Knight I have on there as 5 stars. The Godfather, Return of the King, Shawshank, New Hope, Empire, Terminator 2, and then I had Shutter Island as 5 stars. I might change that actually.
It's a
Great
good one.
movie.
I don't think 5
Yeah,
stars is a crazy take for it, but I wouldn't say it's a 5-star.
yeah. I might put that down to 4.5. But it's been a while since I've watched this. So maybe I should rewatch it here soon.
So I
But
just did my my letterbox favorites. Would anybody like to take a guess at what my 4 favorites are? You
all
guys
right.
could probably
Well,
get 3 of them. One will probably
Goodfellas,
yes.
Scream.
Yes.
I'm gonna throw Shawshank. Just
No.
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 I did like it, but
Godfather.
not a favorite. No.
Godfather
One of
Part
them's a
2.
Tarantino.
Oh
One
yeah,
of them's a
Godfather Part Two.
Tarantino. No, one of
Once
them's a
Upon a Time in
Tarantino.
Hollywood.
Reservoir Dogs.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
Reservoir
And then
Dogs.
this
Yeah.
newest one this one might get changed pretty soon, but it's a theater release that came out last year that I really enjoyed, or very early this year. I can't remember which one it was.
Wait, do you really have Doom Part 2 on there?
I do, yes.
Oh yeah, yep. Doom Part Two.
Why wasn't Borderlands on there?
Should I put Borderlands on my favorites?
All right,
Just
I just updated mine as well, and I'm very curious what you guys think.
All right, so you're gonna have Back to the Future on there.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, what else do you have? Shoot.
Uh,
Now I'm drawing blank. All right, you might have just put Shawshank on there.
I did. Yes, I did.
Okay. Okay.
And the next two are one of them is an animated movie. I'll tell you that much.
One of them's a what?
I know what
Animated
it is.
movie.
If it's animated, I know what it is.
Animated movie?
No, if you don't know it, I'll take my.
I don't know it. I don't know it.
Is it Spider-Verse?
Which one?
Wait, would that
First
count?
one.
Wait, oh, that counts. Oh, Across the Spider-Verse.
No, it's Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, you. Oh, Across the Spider-Verse is better, bro.
I like Into the Spider-Verse more. I could talk about the scene of Miles Morales jumping off the building and the glass breaking for like 30 minutes alone.
What's up,
That is
Danger?
crazy scene. Okay, and then
any guesses on number 4?
what genre would you say it is?
Sci-fi, I guess is what we would call it.
Sci-fi?
It's Star Wars, and it's your favorite Star Wars movie, isn't it? Which is fuck.
Empire. Wait, Empire.
It is
That's
Empire,
Empire,
yes.
right?
It is Empire.
No.
It was very close between Empire and Revenge of the Sith.
Mm-hmm. Oh, should I put Attack
So-
of the Clones in my favorites?
Dude, that movie is so unintentionally hilarious. Anyway, little.
I should have put The Room on mine. The one that the movie that literally made me go insane for an episode.
Dude, if you're going and staying at The Room, then you are really gonna go in and staying at some of the other like actual really bad movies we do. Because at least you can watch The Room.
At least some of the other bad movies actually have dialogue, and it's not just hi character.
What? That's what makes it great, though.
But that was the part that was making me so upset, was the fact that there was just nothing going on and everything going on at the same time.
That's what made it amazing. That's what I loved.
The Room is actually the movie that got me into film.
No way.
No, not seriously.
I don't know. I wouldn't put it past you, Ryne.
Yeah, I thought you were serious because of how much you know about that movie.
The movie that got me into film is probably A New Hope, honestly, because it's the first movie I vividly remember watching.
So valid. Anyway,
I think it was The Dark Knight.
Mm-hmm.
I would say A New Hope.
Let's go, based.
Sir. Okay, so we've been recording for 2 hours and 6 minutes, so we should probably wrap this up before it gets longer than the actual movie.
I think we're just about done here.
Yeah.
Ryne, I believe it's your pick next week, and we're doing The Nice Guys.
Nice Guys.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then we'll do The Sandlot in our September recap after that as well.
And then it's the month of horror.
Yep.
So we're starting with
where we get to watch. We're starting with The Thing. Then Noah chose Nightmare on Elm Street. Then we're going to do Hereditary, which I actually haven't seen, so I'm actually excited to go watch that one.
I haven't seen that either.
And there probably is going to be a guest for that episode. Honestly.
Okay. And then we'll have critically acclaimed greatest movie of all time, Jason X. Jason Goes to Space. And then we'll also have our Halloween special where we'll review. Did we decide just the first 2 Halloween movies?
Yeah, just the first 2. Yes. We need to watch more.
Just the first 2?
Also, by the way, turn 18 in October, so there's that.
Oh, W.
I'll be an adult.
All right, so we'll figure out the schedule for that afterwards. But that Halloween special is gonna release on Halloween, so get up for that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Then we'll get November and Christmas, our Christmas season and all that.
Oh, yeah, and then Whiplash is my choice for November. I got
that
it is already. So look forward to that, where I decide which is better, Shawshank or Whiplash, in my opinion, of course.
And then we'll get to our Christmas movies. And then we'll do A Christmas Story to release on Christmas, so get up for that as well. Then we'll round the year off with our yearly recap. Mm-hmm. And we'll do some end of year awards too. Get up for that.
I'm gonna try to, honestly, a little insight into next year. I haven't talked to Noah about this yet, but I'm gonna try to coordinate it with him for January. Noah, if you'd be willing to do The Godfather for your January movie, and then I do The Godfather Part 2, because we do back-to-back weeks, so we hit the double whammy for them. And then we can do dad movie.
We could just do we could do November be Mom Month, or January, excuse me.
January.
Well,
all right,
and then we can have dad movie. Be Godfather 3.
Wait, hold on. What? There's 4 weeks. What other mom movie could we do? Like,
well, it'd be my week, so I'll figure something out. I'm sure there's a mom movie. I could do Gotti, the John Travolta one.
No. What if we just had Al Pacino month, where we do Scarface and then all the Godfather movies?
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
Wait,
and then for our bad movie, we can do Jack and Jill.
No. The good movie of the month. Mr. Dunkachino.
Dunkachino. Yeah, we'll hash out the details for that.
Yeah.
And then get up for it.
Mm-hmm.
I think anybody else have any final thoughts here?
I don't believe so. I think that's
good movie.
Yeah, good movie. I know we make that joke a lot, but if there's one movie that we reviewed that you need to watch, it's this one.
And good.
Go watch Borderlands.
Yeah, don't forget about Borderlands.
No. The one you need to watch is The Room. All right, The Room is the.
There's 2 movies that we reviewed that you need to watch: Shawshank and The Room.
If you go
complete opposite ends of the spectrum of movies.
If you go your entire life without watching The Room, you are missing out.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Oh my
though,
lord.
that should wrap
I'm
it
about to
up.
go. I'm about to go insane again. Anyway, how's your sex life?
All right, we're
God.
getting on. We haven't talked about the actual movie in like 10 minutes, so that's a good place to wrap it up.
Yeah, I think we're just about done here.
Yep, we've been done for a while, but thanks for tuning
Yeah.
into this episode. That's like as long as the actual movie. Tune in next week for the Nice Guys, Ryan's Choice, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Yeah. Catch you guys later.
Peace.